Just give it a second, and we are recording.
Great. Well, welcome everyone to our virtual open house. The first time that we're doing it this way, so it's pretty exciting. I hope that you're able to check out a few of the presentations that the different departments are offering this morning and this afternoon. Lots of different programs will be displaying lots of different information, so check one out if you're interested. Today's presentation in this room is called the 15 First Year FAQs. My name is Alison Roberts-Joker. I'm joining you from our Penticton. Well, I'm joining you from Penticton. Beside me, I have Danushi Fernando from Kelowna. And up in Vernon, where most of you are joining us from, is Tanya Cameron. So we all work as recruiters for OC. And if you have any questions, anytime, today, tomorrow, next year, we don't care. Just send us an email at chooseoc@okanaganbc.ca. We're happy to answer any questions you might have about the college, about our programs and the services that we offer. Okay, and like Tanya mentioned, this will be recorded so you can access it later on if there was something that caught your eye and you couldn't remember what the link was, etc., etc. And if you have any questions during the presentation, by all means, put them down in the chat box below. We'll do our best to answer them there, and we'll take little breaks in between to see if anybody's questions, if we can answer them during it. Great. So to get started, I'd just like to acknowledge that the Penticton, Kelowna, and Vernon campuses on which we work, live, and study and play are located on the unceded and traditional territory of the Syilx Okanagan peoples. And our Salmon Arm campus is located on the unceded and traditional territory of the Secwepemc people. We do have 4 campuses, as you can see in this slide, and we do have 2 regional centers, one up in Revelstoke and the other one down in Oliver. As you all know, we live in quite a beautiful corner of BC, full of great outdoor activities, so there's a lot for students to do and experience apart from studying while you're here. So moving on to the next slide. When we're talking about post-secondary education, there's a lot of different words that come up that might be unfamiliar to some of you. We're talking about programs. The words degree, diploma, and certificate come up. And how you can differentiate those two is basically the length of time. So a certificate is generally 1 year or less. A diploma is usually 2 years in length, and a degree is 4 years. Another word for a degree is often called an undergrad or a bachelor's. So when people are talking about doing their bachelor's, they're actually doing an undergraduate degree, okay? 4 years being 4 full-term semesters. Okay, talking about unconditional and conditional admission. Now this is looking at, have you met the requirements for getting into a program? So if you apply and you may be still in high school and you're looking at a program, obviously we know that some of those prerequisite courses that we're looking for, whether it's English 12 or Math 12 or whatever it is, that you might not quite have them yet. And that's okay. Please don't let that be something that stops you from applying, because a lot of people think that they need to actually have those prerequisites in place in order to apply. That's not the case. If you're a high school student, or if you are doing upgrading or whatever it is that you need to meet those admission requirements, you'll be given what's called conditional admission. Okay. Talking about degrees again, we were talking about majors and minors and specializations. Now, a major is your main focus. Most of the majority of your courses will be taken in a minor, in a major, and you will usually be required by the post-secondary institution that you're studying at to declare a major, usually after your first year of studies. A minor is sort of your secondary subject, and so some people might major in, if they're doing arts, they might major in English and minor in history. And a specialization is when you're really focusing in on a certain area. So let's say somebody is majoring in English, they might actually have a specialization in media studies, for example. So these are just a couple of words that often come up, and just for you to know about them. Exit requirements are what you need to graduate. Just like in high school, you need certain courses in order to graduate from any of our programs. Convocation is just another word for graduation. So if you're going to a convocation ceremony, you're going to your grad. And unlike in high school, we do need consent from your parents or from or we need you to give consent to your parents, to family members, to a spouse, to an RESP company, in order for us to release personal information to them about you and what your student file says. So whether that's your grades or how much tuition is owing or any of your personal information, we need your consent. It's usually a very simple to fill out online form to do so. So we'll move on to the next slide. Talking about different types of institutions, we have colleges, universities, and technical schools. And technical schools tend to focus on sort of very applied learning, very hands-on, preparing people for employment. Something like BCIT down on the coast would be a good example of a technical school. A university is where there are certificate programs, diplomas, degrees, masters, doctoral degrees. If you want to do your PhD, that would be a place to do it. Okay, so if you're going to become a doctor, if you want to do your master's, those things happen at a university. They tend to be very sort of critical thinking based, a lot of research, independent learning, etc., etc. Colleges sort of are the happy medium between those two. So we offer, on the one hand, very technical programs, things like our trades and apprenticeships, but we also offer certificate programs, we offer upgrading, we offer degree programs. So a little bit of everything comes into a college. You can learn very hands-on, but you can also learn very theoretical. Depends on the program that you're going to go into. And of course, we always like to mention that they're usually tend to be quite affordable. We'll move on to the next slide. And this is talking about where to find some information. So it's very overwhelming as a person thinking about going into post-secondary to find information about post-secondary itself. I mean, everyone will obviously want to go into a Google search, and Google will spit out millions and millions of sites that might have something to do with post-secondary education. Spare yourself the time and check out these sites instead. We've done the homework for you. So here are 5 great sites: the Education Planner, the BC Dogwood Planner, the Blueprint Builder, and the Career Compass, and the Career Trek. Now, these are 5 great sites that really teach you about post-secondary, about what that's going to look like. One that I really love to recommend to prospective students is our Education Planner. So that has a wealth of resources, everything from the different programs that are offered at various institutions across the province to how long they are, how much they're going to cost, whether that institution has a residence, what services are available for students, etc., etc. The list goes on. It's a lot of information out there, but if I can recommend anything, it's just to start doing your homework. Start to really research it and find out what's going to be the best fit for you. And so these are some really great websites. If you feel like it, grab your phone and take a picture. Take a screenshot with your computer, or this presentation will be recorded so you can check it out later on. We'll move on to the next slide. And how to transfer. So when we're talking about post-secondary, a lot of people think, well, can I do a university degree at a college? Well, yeah, sure. You can start at Okanagan College, for example, and you can transfer to another institution of your choice in the province. So how to see that in action is by going on to the BC Transfer Guide. That is the bctransferguide.ca. This shows you the different direct transfer agreements there that exist between different institutions across the province. For us, there's 42, so take a look. You go onto the website and pump in the name of any course that you would be wanting to take at Okanagan College, and select the institution that you might want to consider going to down the road to see about the transferability. It's always good to talk to an education advisor as well about what transferability is going to look like and how to make that work for your future educational goals. It's quite simple, it's quite straightforward. And guess what? Transferring is a really good idea. There's actually a study that put out a few years back that showed that 88% of students who started at a college actually did better than their university counterparts when those college students entered university. Now, there's going to be a lot of reasons for that Tanya will explain later, but the main things are the smaller class sizes, affordable tuition, and applied learning. Okay, so really simple math here. You can start at Okanagan College, do 2 years, and then you can transfer to another institution. Another 2 years, 2 plus 2 equals 4. And like I said before, a degree is 4 years in length, generally if you're taking a full-time course load. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide. Another way people can complete some post-secondary education is by becoming an apprentice. Now, what is an apprenticeship? Well, it consists of 2 different things. We have a foundation, and this is sort of your first steps. For these are people who haven't had a lot of exposure to a certain trade. It'll give you the basic skills and knowledge to work in that different trade, in the trade of your choice. So Okanagan College, being the second largest trades training institution in the province, we have quite a few different programs on offer. Please do check out some of those programs with our trades department. Our colleague Kim will be able to give you a lot of insight into which programs we do offer. But it's quite simple with trades. You start, do your foundation, which takes generally 6 to 12 months. Then you go actually work. So during the foundation, you'll learn theoretical aspects of that trade, but you'll also do a lot of applied sort of hands-on work in that trade in the shop. Once you leave your foundation, you find an apprenticeship, somebody who's going to take you on as an apprentice to work in that trade. After some time, you'll come back to the college, complete your level 2, usually between 6 and 8 weeks along, so and so and so and so until you actually reach your level 4, and then you can write your interprovincial red seal, which basically allows you to practice your trade anywhere in the country, which is a huge skill and a huge thing if you're thinking of relocating down the road. So these are a couple different options for you with post-secondary, and I'll turn off my mic and my video now, and I'll take it over to Danusha, who'll explain other things.
Hi, so there's some other options of studies. So many post-secondary schools will have a continuing studies or a continuing education department. So these programs are heavily focused in applied employment skills. For example, we have a medical office assistant program and an education assistant program. And these certificate programs are less than a year. Usually they're about 8 months actually. And they give you the skill set required to work in those fields. Usually there's also some general interest programs like floral design or interior decorating. So if you just want to learn a new skill set or learn skills for employment in those fields, those are also available. We do also offer specific programs like first aid or weight training courses. So if you're a high school student, you can actually start a college program before graduating. So you can take a trades, foundation, office administration, or individual academic courses. But these are run through the school district. So if you are interested in doing a dual credit program, talk to your career counselor to find out how to apply. So it's never too late to upgrade. If you're missing a course that you didn't take in high school, or you need to retake some courses to increase your GPA to get into a program, you can upgrade through our adult basic education department. These are usually on campus, but because of COVID, they have moved online, and they are designed to be flexible options. So if you need to work full-time while you're upgrading, you can do that. And they're often tuition free through the adult upgrading grant. So if you are interested in upgrading, send an email to us and we can get you in contact with the campus upgrading coordinator, and they'll be able to work with you and create an educational plan to meet your goals. So 2 other terms that you'll often hear in post-secondary education is applying and registering. So people often think that these terms are interchangeable, but there is actually a distinction between the 2. So for applying, you're applying to a program. So you are going to a post-secondary institution and declaring your interest and wanting to be considered for entrance into the program. When you're applying, you want to make sure you're meeting all the prerequisites for the program, but it is important to note that you don't need to have all the prerequisites completed in order to apply. You just need to have them done by the deadlines given to you. Most post-secondaries have moved their applications online. So some institutions have a specific deadline for programs, or like Okanagan College, some institutions offer a first qualified, first offered for their application process. So that means if you get your application in early and you meet the qualifications, your admissions would be, you would be given admissions before someone who applied 3 weeks after you. So registering is what happens when you've actually been accepted into the program. And then you register for the specific courses that you need to take within that program. So there are some programs where you get block registered. So that means the registration office will register for you. But there are programs, and at Okanagan College, for example, it's arts, business, and science where you register yourself. So that means you go in, you'll be given a time ticket, and they'll say, hey, you can register after this date and time. And we usually have Jumpstart, which kind of walks you through the process of how to do that. So after you've applied, it's important to note all the necessary supporting documents that you need. So oftentimes this is a transcript. If you are right out of university or right out of high school, we'll be looking for your high school transcript. If you have post-secondary experience, we will require that you submit transcripts for every post-secondary institution that you've attended. It's really important to stay up to date with your application status, so be checking it frequently just to make sure you're not missing a deadline and you're meeting the requirements that the admissions departments have set out for you. And also, it's important to check your email frequently. Oftentimes, post-secondary institutions will assign you an email address. So just make sure that your preferred email address is set to something that you'll actually check all the time. So this could be your personal Gmail account. So I'm going to pass it over to Tanya to talk about student loans.
All right, thanks, Danushi. Okay, so many students these days have to apply for student loans or find money in some other form. So as you all know, student loans are things that you pay back. What most people don't realize, though, is that post-secondary institutes like colleges and universities actually have nothing to do with giving away the money. We don't administer student loans at all. All student loans are applied for at studentaidbc.ca, and they usually come available on June 1st every year to be applied for. This year it was a little different with the pandemic. It got pushed back to mid-July, but we sort of are continuing to tell people go on to studentaidbc.ca and watch for them starting in June. So if you are taking 3 courses out of 5 a semester, you are eligible to apply for a full-time student loan. Now, even though colleges and universities are not the ones giving away the money, we each have big financial aid and awards departments that are very well versed in student loans and the ins and outs, what to expect, how they work, etc. And they can answer all sorts of questions. So never be shy about emailing them or phoning them. Every one of the OC campuses has financial aid and awards reps working at them. So you can make an appointment and they can really help you out. When you apply for a student loan, it's a pretty simple and straightforward process. You have to register an account and then you just go ahead and apply. For students that are fresh out of high school, there's pretty much always a section that parents have to fill in, which involves them submitting their previous year's tax return. And there's absolutely no hard and fast rule to how much money a student's actually eligible for when it comes to student loans, because that's totally dependent on the program that student is taking, what school they're taking it at, what their living situation is like. Does that person have children that they're supporting? There's a million different little things that go into that. So it's, if you have questions, like I said, reach out to Financial Aid and Awards. They are very, very helpful when it comes to helping people out. They can even access the application through like your online application through their computers. So that's the beauty of these online things. It goes fast, and it doesn't take long to apply. And plus, one thing is when you apply for a student loan, you absolutely do not have to know how much what the tuition is for the program you're wanting to go into. That is the college and university's jobs to communicate to student aid BC. Okay, you never have to worry about anything like that. So keeps it pretty simple. Now, there's a lot of free money out there. Okanagan College gives away over $1 million in awards, bursaries, scholarships, and grants. And the one sad thing is there's actually hundreds of thousands of dollars that goes unapplied for every single year. When we talk to students as recruiters, because we're working with them so much, and we'll say, well, why didn't you apply? The number one answer tends to be, oh, because I'm not smart enough. I knew I wouldn't be eligible. But please remember this, if you remember nothing else, it is only scholarships that are based on academic achievement. It's only scholarships looking at a student's marks. Awards and bursaries and grants are based on everything from financial need to volunteerism in the community, or perhaps a student's been done very well in a sport or a specific subject, or that student has an affiliation with a certain club or hall in town. They're all different. There's hundreds of different awards, scholarships, bursaries, and grants available that students can apply to. It's easy to do an awards search, and when the awards that are actually ready to be applied to are actually highlighted, they're only about 4 or 5 sentences long. There's sorting categories at the top. There's awards for students and bursaries and grants for students coming right out of high school, for mature students, for people going from first, second year, from students transferring from college into a university setting. They're all different. And again, if you're getting frustrated and for some reason you're not finding something you're eligible to apply to, call Financial Aid and Awards. They know all of their free money things inside and out. So if you are hitting a wall and you can't figure out what to apply to, call them. They can lead you down a really good path and help you out. They're also there for our current students to provide emergency funding should something terrible happen to them, you know, in the middle of the year and maybe certain life circumstances change. So they are very, very useful. Us recruiters talk to them all the time, and we're lucky to have a really great group of people working in that department. So we have so many people, besides recruiters like us, who can talk about programs and admission requirements and financial aid and awards people. We have so many people here that are able to help. One of your best resources as a new student at any school is going to be the education advisor at that school. And what their job is to meet with students that know what they want to do, like pertaining to, like, maybe they know they want to get into a trade or a business program, science, or whatever it is, or they actually might just know an end goal, but they need help figuring out how to make it all happen. Like they might have admission requirements questions or transferability questions, or maybe they simply, like, common questions are, I want to be a doctor. What are the med school requirements I can take in at OC so I can save money and stay close to home? Or what are the pre-pharmacy courses or social work, pre-social work courses so I can transfer over to UVic? They're there to create a really nice pathway for you to make sure you're taking the courses you need to satisfy that diploma or the school you're going to move into, their admission requirements. So always, always give them a call. Don't be shy. They are currently taking appointments with everyone, whether it's they're a high school student or mature student. They're doing it through Zoom, email, or phone. So besides us, there is free tutoring at all 4 of our campuses in any of the English courses, any of the different math courses, and any of the different science courses through our learning centers. And each campus at OC has its own counselor who helps and provides free counseling services, so personal counseling services to our students. They also specialize in anxiety management and test taking skills and techniques, and effectively how to have effective time management skills. So it goes beyond just the counseling. We also have large Aboriginal departments on every campus. So there's an Aboriginal transition planner at each center that they can provide education advising as well as help secure band funding, answer lots of questions. They have mentors working for them, etc. And then lastly, every single school does a big orientation event at the beginning of every single year. And we can't stress enough how important it is to take events like that in, because not only will you meet other students, but you'll get all the important information you need as a new student regarding services, tips and tricks, insider tips from other students. You'll meet older students that'll tell you like the whole what I wish I knew when I was a new student. You'll meet your professors, get to know the campus, etc. So you can also, this year's a little different given the pandemic, most institutions are closed. So, but in a normal year when there's no pandemic, schools are always offering campus tours, and it's usually the recruiters like us that are offering them. There is student for a day opportunity usually as well. So this gives students an opportunity to experience a certain course, whether they want to sit in on a psychology course or a science course or something, or programs, sit in on aircraft maintenance engineering or welding or a healthcare assistant. Gives them a chance to see what that program is and what it's about, talk to the professor and see if they like it beforehand. This year is a little different. Like I said, with the pandemic, we're currently working on trying to find a way for maybe students to log in online to be student for a day, but fingers crossed that'll happen soon. Our counselors on every campus also provide career counseling. And then every single school does open houses and information sessions such as this. They're usually in person, but again, this year it's all a virtual platform. Great way to get to know the different programs, chat with professors, and gather information. And many schools, and including us, we offer career fairs that we run once or twice a year so students can find work. Okay, so at OC, I know many of you will be looking around and going to some of the other sessions, but we have over 130 different programs and over 1,700 courses to choose from. Allison mentioned before, we have small class sizes. Our class sizes range from 18 to 24 students, so you're never ever a number. Our professors know every single one of their students' names. They are there to help. They don't hire assistants to do their work for them and deal with students. They deal with the students and help them themselves. And so you actually get to have a voice in a small class. They want you to ask questions. There's usually participation marks awarded. They want you to be involved. They want you to question things and really like learn and get your feet wet in these subjects. Because many of our programs are very, very hands-on, like business, engineering, all of our trades, all of our health programs, and very, very, very applied. So, and again, I've already mentioned that we have free tutoring at all 4 of our campuses. So, our virtual open house, it is an opportunity to get to explore other programs that we're offering, and you can actually go to our webpage. It's okanagan.bc.ca. If you do /program-search, you can actually take a much, much closer look at each and every one of our programs, see the courses you take within it, what you learn, see the admission requirements, etc. We encourage you to reach out to the recruiters and ask us questions. There's the link you see here, the /ask, can take you to other links to reach out to advisors and whatnot, and then apply. Nusha mentioned our applications opened on October 1st. So the majority of our programs fill first come, first serve, with the exception of nursing and practical nursing. So go and apply today. It's only $30, and these are for anybody starting school in September of 2021. And last but not least, I would just like to thank everyone for attending this session and let you know that if you pre-registered, you've been entered into our $5,000 tuition credit draw. And otherwise, you can go to okanagan.bc.ca /tuition giveaway and enter that way. So we're not going anywhere. That is the end of our presentation, but we'll get the other girls to turn their cameras on. And if you want to either unmute your mic and ask us questions, we're here till 2:30 today, or you can simply type them into the chat and we can answer your questions that way. So thanks again, everyone.
And I'm just going to stop the recording.
Sure.